Okay, it says we are live.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Waiting for it to start playing on my phone, though.
Sure. Ooh.
It is the right episode, right? Like, we're episode. There we are. Now, why isn't it showing me chat?
That's I think a good way of putting it. Matei says we're live, but not alive, and I think that's a pretty accurate summation. For those in the United States, it's been a tough week. And I think for most people around the world, it's been a tough week as well. Um, but just to start off, I wanted to say that when I woke up on Wednesday, I was feeling pretty glum, but there were some nice messages from people I know, people like Jessie, for example. um, my agent of all things, just out of the blue, just texted. Uh, and it was really nice and a nice reminder that no matter what else is happening in the world, uh, you have your friends and family there to pick you up. You know, the ones that love you and the ones you love. So, anyway, that's why it's always nice to kind of come back to this. After all, when we started this, we were in the middle of we were at the end of a Trump presidency and in the middle of a pandemic. Even though even though we didn't know we were going to be in the middle of a pandemic when we started it, we ended up in the middle of a pandemic right during season 1. So anyway, it's always been so nice to have all of you as a community. You know, people have come, people have gone, people have taken breaks, and it's no big deal. The nice thing is that, you know, for the most part, everybody that's been here has been really nice to each other, and that's always a very, very, it's a very comforting thing to come back to. So, thanks so much. Ooh, hang on a sec. Magpie is talking about consolation cupcakes.
Ooh. By the way, this entire time I've been trying to get my YouTube experience on my phone corrected so that I could see the screen, and goodness gracious, that shouldn't have taken that long, but there we have it.
Yeah, I was playing a little catch up with a few things here as well. Good thing we didn't.
You are Matthias.
The actual Dutch folks I've met have been very nice. Nice, even. Nice. Trying my best. Anyway, a couple of quick announcements. As something to always remember, we always have to announce it after the fact, but don't forget about Let's Have a Booba, which streams every Wednesday at 1:30. The recent Let's Have a Booba poll is the Jake and Miles name poll.
Oh.
I have added suggestions. And also, might be worth mentioning again that George Corley's Tongues and Runes is now streaming Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central regularly, but this week is special because on Friday, we're going to have the reveal for the accompanying videos for the relay that George ran. So look forward to that. That is going to be 12 p.m. Central. And then on the next day's episode, regularly scheduled episode of Tongues and Runes, George is going to go over the relay, and some of the relay participants will be there to talk about it as well. I won't. I hope you'll forgive me. It's 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'm going to have to be up on 8 a.m. the following Saturday. So I need to get my sleep in time now. Anyway, uh, so yeah, no, I know Magpie, but I knew that beforehand, so that doesn't change anything for me. Uh, Magpie's nickname for me is the Unforgiven.
Unforgivable, really.
And the Unforgivable, yeah, I understand that. And then uh, I don't want to spoil things too much, but uh, yeah, we're close enough to it. Patrick, I'm just going to say that nobody was going to have enough of their S together to be able to participate in this recent relay. I at some point in the future, I may run a relay that is a kind relay or a kinder relay. A beginner's relay, an old style relay.
The relays I ran for my classes were only like 2 sentences long.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
I was not able to participate in this relay because when I got the text for my leg of the relay, it was literally the same 2-week span that David and I had several very large project deadlines, and I had to submit the final draft of my manuscript. And well, I have just emerged this week. Unfortunately, I emerged on the same day that was election day from my little cave of work.
Yeah.
So I emerged to a not wonderful world, but I submitted my manuscript. Yay! So the final draft is to the editors, and I'm gonna be mentally back to it in like 4 weeks, I think. But anyway, like today is legit the first day that I think I could have looked at the text to consider my leg of the relay, and I don't think George wanted to wait.
It is worth mentioning in Jessie's defense, it's not as if the relay text arrived at her at the scheduled time.
No, it did not.
It wasn't like it was a couple of days late. It wasn't like it was a couple of weeks late. There was, the situation was untenable.
But thank you, Mateus, and Anime Fan, and Patrick, and Sissel Languages, thank you. It's very exciting to have that stage finished. I know I'm not actually finished, so I'm still doing some wrap-up work, like getting images and copyright permissions and things like that, but it is all, well, depending on whether you have it in Times New Roman font or Palatino X, which I originally had it, it's, all 440/470 pages are off.
Also, regarding, I will say this about the recent relay, it finished. That's not something that you can say about every relay. And really, I think the determining whether the relay was successful is whether it finished or not. Mm-hmm. Even if it at least had one leg that finished, it was successful. The disappointing ones, I think, looking back over the years, are the ones that just kind of, and just kind of taper off, and then you don't even get to like 5 or 6 participants. Then it's like, all right, this wasn't worth examining. All right, so getting back into it, I know this is our last scheduled episode of season 6, but we're probably going to have, I think, a couple more before we're ready to put a bow on this, I think. And then after this, I don't know if we want to discuss doing a half season before getting to season 7.
A half season?
Yeah, like we did after season 5. Season 5.5.
What did we do, David?
We went back to our old languages and did one a week.
Oh my gosh, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm mentally still emerging from my work cocoon. I completely forgot.
Let's see.
Reading alive.
Here, anime fan, go here. That'll explain everything about relays. But
the relay in particular was one that George had run. So George from Kunlingery can give more deets on the particular relay being discussed.
Yeah. Shoot, what was before that? We're talking about the seasons, right? But yeah, nevertheless, season 7 is coming up. Much sooner than not, and.
Oh, it may be wise to take a little half season because then we could start it in January.
Yeah, because of the.
And especially since we may have a lot of people unable to make it on a weekly basis during holiday seasons, that would make a lot of sense to do something different, yet still LangTime related, including and not limited to even as we continue expanding things, because our patron streams may need to turn to things like Luxembourg. Oh my gosh, that's coming up and we haven't discussed it.
Yeah, but I really want to get stuff done, though, for the game, so I like our patron streams. So season 7, of course, is going to be the Fox language, and it's going to be our first a posteriori language.
Well, first that we're doing in a live stream.
Oh, sure. I mean, no.
I just want to specify.
First LangTime Studio, a posteriori language.
Listen, I'm just saying I've got 6 versions of Wokutiju.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I think those are part of the LangTime family. There was a recent patron challenge for patrons to create a kangaroo rat variant of Wokutiju. And let's just say the patrons came through nicely.
That was a lot of fun.
And so I do not want to discount those. However, this will be the first LangTime live stream experience.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting because we're going to have, I expect every single stream we're going to be working on the new language, but we're going to have the dog language open simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And we might be filling in new words for that as we go, as we create new protoforms. And this is also like going way back since we're just talking about the Fox language right now. But we had this idea for the number system for the dogs to have it split in different bases, and those bases would be tied to different languages, essentially. Mm-hmm. Because the idea is that the original dog language was a conglomeration of several different languages, right? And I think it was Bubba, even though Bubba is the one that's most excited about variety in the number systems, who pointed out, like, well, how would you tell the difference? And that's true. Because it's like, if your language is in a vacuum, right, how do you even know, especially if you're looking at something really basic like number forms, how do you even know that some of them are borrowed or not? And so part of what's going to be exciting with this Fox language is now we're going to be able to show something different. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like the Fox language the numbers are going to be clearly related, but they're going to be related to one, maybe just one, maybe two of these other bases that you can actually see, oh, look at that. These numbers are clearly cognates. These numbers are clearly different. So this set must come from a different proto-language.
Or some fancy shenanigans like we have in English, where like the ordinal numbers, some of our bases come from different languages for ordinal, but our cardinal numbers come from a different.
Another good idea.
But only in a small set, like first, second, So it's not like all of our, ordinal and cardinal numbers do that. It's just some of the common ones that we ended up borrowing.
Yeah.
And so
First is weird. Does that come from Latin? Second obviously does, but
first actually has the same protoform as proto. Like proto and first are the same if you go back all the way.
Wow.
They're related. And so that one has a different origin completely than our number one. Good question, Miles. Good question. And Karis had suggested that we could re-examine our reindeer language during the Christmas episode.
We
And
had
that
a lot
would
of
be
recommendations for that.
delightful. I will say that that language, as well as the language sketch that we did for the penguins, made it into the textbook.
Unbelievable.
I
Wow.
managed to get it in there. So there are nods to those languages. Very short examples because we only had a short language sketch with a handful of words, and yet made it. Those vegetable names. Oh God, David. That's fantastic.
Okay. Oh, so I wanted to mention that. So this is looking ahead to the Fox language, but also, longtime patrons will be familiar with the fact that at the end of each season, we do a poll about what the next language is going to be. But that, of course, was moot for season 4 when we knew what language was going to be season 5. And so instead, what we had was a poll about which animals were our favorites that were going to be included in the first expansion. And so we got the first 2 expansion animals, the foxes and the beavers. But what happens beyond this is a little uncertain. And I'm going to give you 3 things that I want to mention with respect to that. The first is that we have that poll. So in other words, we have the results of that poll. We took the top 2 animals, but there are other animals after that were, of course, highly voted. One of them was bats.
Yeah. Otters?
Otters, I thought, was up there. Chipmunks was surprisingly low. That was rough. That was rough for Jessie.
That's okay. I made a squirrel language in my textbook. There's another one you can look at.
So that was one thing. The second thing was that indeed Jessie has started the squirrel language and wanted it to be a part of the LangTime animal languages. And I'm not opposed to that. The only question was, well, is this just something you're going to do on your own and we just incorporate it, or do we want to work with it?
No, I said they could be completely unrelated. I just create, and then it was more like I just made one, and then you were like, oh, I wanted to have squirrels in LangTime. And I said, you can either use this language or we can, do something totally different.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It could be our second a posteriori. I'm giving you a protoform.
Well, like what I'm saying is like that could essentially be kind of an abbreviated season, right? Because a lot of the choices will have been made, and we'll just be working with what you already have. The only reason I balked was it went against some of the initial spirit of LangTime, where we did everything only on screen. But we've done that a lot.
But I can use this as a selling point. Buy the textbook and you'll see the stages of development.
Yeah. There you go.
And it is called Okoki.
A squeezing.
Wait, I think it's an initial stress. Okoki.
Just with season.
Yeah.
So that was number 2. Number 3 was that there are actual classes, a couple that I've been thinking of, and 2 that I absolutely want to do based on the way things that have been rearranged. So when it comes to polls for like future seasons, it could be like, yes?
Finish, but I'm ready with a comment after.
Oh,
Finish
okay.
your thought.
Mine might be a little long. Go ahead.
When are we going to live stream play testing your game? Because we have the camera, we could put the board up, we could show the cards. Because a very limited set of people watching this have been able to actually see the game. We could live stream.
That's a really good idea. But like, I would kind of want to wait till 3.0.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I just want to throw it out there.
No, that's a really good idea because we have this now. Incidentally, George came up with a very low-tech way of doing what I'm doing a lot better. So I bought this, this thing, and it's like I keep messing with it to get it in range. And George was just like, "Well, I got a box. Why don't I just cut a hole in it, and put the phone on it? Works great." Anyway, but For future seasons, the way that I redid Magic, and this, by the way, was based on, and then we'll get to Art of Beneficence comment after this. This was based on a discussion I had with John Quijada. Some people, I think, don't know this, but John Quijada has gotten heavily into board gaming. Specifically, this was partly came out of the pandemic, but like modern board gaming, so we have European style board games. And he's applied a lot of the general brilliance he has when it comes to analyzing and creating systems to creating board games. And he's done some really wonderful work. And he's got something exciting coming up that I don't know if we can talk about, so we'll leave that aside. But anyway, we didn't even play it this time. John has played the game before once, an earlier version, while at CopyCon. But we didn't even play it this time. But I just described to him the problem that I was having, and basically he took me in, and he was the seed to send me in an entirely different direction about what I was doing with Magic. And so really this only means something to people who have played the game before, like in particular, like Jake and Bibleridian, who were like two of the people that I think were really invested in the way that I set up the Magic system the first time. I simplified it this time and made it so that, I think I've explained before how the source of magic in this game is there's kind of like 6 schools of magic. And then there were spells that were either from 1 or 2 schools of magic. And then the actual magic users specialized in 3 of them. Well, I changed that so that the magic users now specialize in 1 of them. And as they get more advanced, they can use the spells that blend abilities from the schools to the left and right of them. And so, for example, if they are proficient primarily in solid magic, then as they advance in levels, they can use ones that also are solid in liquid or solid in dark. And then at the highest level, they can use these new spells that I've created that are kind of like super good that blend all 3 of them. Anyway, because of that, we have 4 magic users that specialize in 4 of the 6 possible schools. That means for future classes, there's logically 2 more. Ones that use primarily fire-based magic, and then the other one, actually the one I mentioned, that one isn't in yet. The one that uses primarily solid-based magic. So those are 2 classes that are basically already set. They just need to be created. And then the ones I've discussed that haven't really been implemented yet are, there was the dancer. I want to do the dancer. I'm so excited about the dancer. So the dancer, like, just uses their movement to affect magical change on the game. And so they're going to be, like, when it comes to stats, they're going to have a lot of movement, more movement than anybody else, and all their other stats will be lower. And then their abilities will essentially be dances, right? Kind of like how the bards use songs, they will use dances, and they'll be able to affect those dances and affect those abilities if they have the requisite movement available and the space available on the board. So that was one I was excited about. Another one that I don't remember if somebody here suggested it, but it was cooks. And so they're essentially going to be able to use ingredients to make stuff that then affects the types of change. So that's another one. So we have the 2 magic users and those 2. And one that I've come up with very recently that I'm very excited about is some sort of cartomancer. And this is where they will be able to use cards that are kind of like tarot cards, except we're going to be creating them on our own in different arrangements, and those different arrangements will have different effects. And so these characters will essentially like have very low stats, but then the stats will change depending on the arrangements of cards that are played. And then of course other people will be able to knock them down or change them or things like that. Anyway, so those are some of the ones that I have planned out. And so when it comes to the poll for the future seasons, it'll probably be something about that. I'll figure it out. Anyway, So, nice, Jake. All right, so that is it for me. And now I would like to go back to Artifexian's question. I think there are a lot of people who are watching who know this, but Artifexian might not. So Artifexian is asking, what is the textbook you keep referring to, Jessie?
So first of all, hooray that Artifexian is here and still awake.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! But no, it's a language creation textbook, and so it'll be called How to Create a Language, the Conlang Guide, with a colon in between the two parts. And it is contracted with, so it's currently with the editors in its final stages with Cambridge University Press. And so hopefully, if all goes well in these final stages, it will actually be, starting like on the production side of things in December, which means it may be available by next academic season, maybe. So that's all in the maybe stages. I promise I will let you all know as soon as I know when something will actually be available. And so like right now, no, there's no pre-order or anything because it hasn't, gone into they still don't know exactly how many pages it will be with the page layout by the time they get, all the figures and everything settled. And I do still have to do the index to add to it. So there's some like really final stage things that have to be done before the December production cycle starts up. But that will hopefully be happening very soon. So yay! Jessie, it is intended for a classroom, but it is intended for students with any level of background in linguistics, and so it actually separates out basic stages of conlanging, and then there are advanced sections that beginning students could just skip, where it's like if you're just not ready for it because you're still learning what a noun is or a verb is or whatever. You're not going to want to do some of the other things that are going to require you to go a lot deeper into the material. And so it's actually separated out between more basic stages of just, getting a language created, and then things that can take you deeper into the language stuff. And so it is intended for classroom use, and yet my hope is that it is friendly enough to be useful for students who are working through it on their own. I call them students, but just readers in general, to work through it on their own. And there will be a website companion with extra materials to kind of help people and supplement along the way. So hopefully it is something that could be useful for anyone. And I really hope it's not hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I hope so too. I don't have a lot of hope.
Well, if I had kept it shorter, I would have had more hope, because there are Cambridge University Press textbooks that you can actually get for really reasonable prices. Like I used to assign some that were in the $30 to $40 ranges for my students. I am hoping this will still be able to be produced with the page count that I have submitted in a more reasonable. So like I'm really, really super hoping the paperback copy is reasonable and not in the 100 range. Like I really, really hope it's below the 50 range. But I don't get to control that. Fingers crossed though that we're able to make some decisions in the editorial stages that can keep the price at a better price point. It won't be $20, but I'm really hoping it's not crazy.
I'm really, really excited about this book, and I think that maybe if somebody viewed it from the outside, they might think, why would you be excited? It seems like a direct competitor to The Art of Language Invention. It kind of is, but there are a couple of things I would note. First, one of them is going to be the price point. It's like, all right, the Art of Language Invention, it's shorter. It's a mass market paperback. And so, yeah, you'll be able to pick it up for $20 or less on a place like Amazon, which is great. This book is likely going to be more expensive. Hopefully not prohibitively expensive, really hopefully not prohibitively expensive, but it's going to be more expensive. It's also going to be larger. And there are a couple of reasons that is better. Because it's like, if you think about it, like, I don't know, if you just imagine from the outset, it's like, I just want to get into conlanging, and you look at one book and this book is shorter and this book is longer, you might think, okay, I just want the shorter book. And, you know, in some ways that might be true, but in this case, there's a lot of stuff, of course, I had to leave out of the Art of Language Invention, but there's also a lot of description, I think, that is shortened in a way that's not helpful. So in many ways, like, if you are a beginner, like a real beginner, and want more help, Jessie's book is going to be better. The descriptions are, the general go through, it can take more space because there is more space, which means that it is a lot easier for Jessie to use her style, which is very clear, very clear and very detailed. So, like, you don't lose anything. You can actually follow along and figure things out. There's no way that you could have given the word count that I have with the Art of Language Invention to Jessie and had her pull off the same thing. You know, things would start having to get cut, which again, you know, reduces the utility of the book. So this one is really, really phenomenal. And I think that, and also there's just different examples, you know, some things explained in different ways. And sometimes, I don't know, one example might work for somebody else and another might for another person. It's the type of thing where I think you can get both and benefit from them. And in general, like, I think that Jessie's book's going to be better. It's better if you don't know anything about conlanging, and I think it's also going to be more useful if you, even if you're a seasoned conlanger, I think it's going to be more useful. And I think it's really pleasant to read. It's more academic, though. Mine is definitely more off the cuff and non-serious. I don't think I could have gotten away with that working with Cambridge.
Certain amount of citation level that is different between ours. There are exercises, and there are points where, like, in the chapter I say, hey, do this, and then I give a discussion for, like, how I did it. But yeah, there are exercises that walk you through. Squirrelish is part of the exercises where it's like I give a structure and then have people fill out details for it. So that's how Squirrelish got its life. And then there are prompts, of course, where it's like, hey, do this to your own language now. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, thinking points throughout where if you're actually reading the full text, there'll be like a list of examples and then say, consider this, think about this before going on to the discussion where, you know, I give you an example walkthrough. And so hopefully people find that. I wish I could have incorporated more of those in-chapter activities with, like, actual stopping points. But word count, like, as it is, I had to cut a lot of things that I super wanted to include, which is why there's going to be a website companion, by the way. But even as it is, the word count is hefty. And so, yeah, hopefully by sometime during the next academic cycle, hopefully 2025, 2026, I hope that it will be actually available. And I will say I'm also putting a little something together to start shopping around for a book based on conlang prompts as well. So there will be more to come, hopefully. And yeah.
All right.
We should get to work, babe. We have 25 minutes in, 35 minutes in.
I know. Some days you need it, though. Some days it's nice just to chat. But we can get right back into it. We had a poll. We're working on the orthography for our Beaver language. And this was a good poll. I'm assuming it's all in frame, but we were working with this drawing of an apple tree that Jessie did, and turning that into our glyph for, I don't remember at this point. Did I write it down?
Did we actually name it? Have we named it yet? Like we had talked about giving an apple tree a special root separate from like a generic tree because the bark and uses would be different. But I don't... Oh, we do have apple tree. Chlas. It must be the voiceless L and A. Chla.
Okay, chla. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be for chla. All right, good one. All right, so we came up with some different styles for what this could possibly look like. And every glyph that you're going to be looking at is the third from the right. And we included our fennel glyph because that was the glyph it was most like. And so the question was, what do we want this ultimately to look like? So we have this one that looks almost exactly like the fennel. The fennel, the middle line goes all the way down to the descender. Here it's cut off, and we have the ground of the apple tree. That was option A. Option B, we closed off the top of the tree, and so now it's not exactly the same. It's a little bit different. Option C, we made the tree taller so that the canopy of the tree rises to the ascender line. And then for option D, we did the same thing, but we bisected it. So those were the four options. There was a clear winner. First, there was no votes at all for D.
Oh, we did not like the quad.
The great big tree. Nobody liked it.
Oh,
no votes at all. So it was down to A, B, and C. And it was kind of a tight race the whole way, but there was a clear 1, 2, and 3. Third place was the other tall one, C, the non-bisected tall tree. So it was down to A and B, and the winner was, by a little bit, B.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the topped one. And so B is going to be it. Anyway, so now let's switch over our view to that. And I wanted to see something. Is this still working? No, it's not.
Oh, the hotkey.
I think the hotkey... I have an idea.
You had said that it had to be on a certain view, like the selector thing had to be on a view for the hotkey to work.
Switch them. I don't know. I think what I'll try doing is I'm going to try adding the iPhone camera to the basic view, which is the other one I switch between, but muting it at all times. So then it will be there both times. Maybe then it'll recognize the... Because my theory is that at the moment is that it has an issue with toggling the hotkey when it's present for one scene but not for the other. Anyway, okay. But just before moving on, I wanted to show George real quick. This is the magic system for the game right here. I did a little sketch of it. So we have light, plasma, gas, liquid, solid, dark, and then it goes back. And so yeah, each one of these, it's like this is their main one, and then they can do that and that. So that is how that works. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward back to Fontaine. There we go.
I totally thought you made up a number kind of word there. Fontaine. Not 14. Fontaine.
Fontaine.
But no, it's just Fontaine.
You know, every so often there was you have a reaction where it's like, at least in linguistics, where somebody says something and it's like, your immediate reaction is like, oh my God, that's so theory. But then you hear it and it's like, oh no, you know what, that's actually right. And for me, you know, I was one of those speakers where for the ing form, I distinguish two forms, right? The full form and the reduced form. But both of my forms have N, not engma. So the unreduced form is een with a non-engma, and the reduced form is in. So running, run in. I don't ever have the velar nasal. And so there is this medicine I used to take for motion sickness called Bonein, B-O-N-E-I-N. And I was like, hey, it's pronounced exactly the same as boning, Boning. And the phonology professor at UC San Diego, Eric Bachvich, said to me, he's like, no, there's a difference. The ing doesn't have secondary stress. Boning does. And I was like, my first reaction was, that's so ridiculous. But then I was like, oh no, that's right.
But this medication was literally bone in?
No, Bonein.
Yes, bone in.
Might have had another E. Now I'm curious.
Like, it must be based on a name. Like, you don't just come up with that word and spelling for an anti-motion sickness.
And I'm going to actually change it. It's not, it's Bonine, boning.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes from that has the same ending as Dramamine, which is another motion sickness medication.
That makes way more sense than the spelling that you were giving me, so thank you.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So we were looking at Hla, is that it? And this was not the winner. So I'll put that up there. Make it yellow. And
By the way,
where's the winner?
I'll
it's up here.
Find that.
It's up here.
But I gotta say, listing the meanings of the pieces of the language that create the word in question, like when there's a compound and you actually list the meaning of each portion in the etymology, as we are now doing in Ulysses, is kind of life-changing, to the point where now when I go back to any other document, because this is the only document that David and I have where this happens, every time we're working in another language document, I get so frustrated because I'm like, where did that come from? And then I got to go look up each component to figure out, because a lot of times, like when you want to create a new compound, you want to make sure it's in line with what you've done before, but all you're looking at are two etymologies, and unless you happen to know the meanings of them off the top of your head, you just don't know what they mean.
If we
life-changing.
If we had our conlang software.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll get there someday. And so, yeah, it is. Well, that was also just a side note to anyone who is currently working on their own conlanging, to think about potentially adding, the definitions of each protoform every time you list them in your language, or actually writing out, like with words, this word comes from this form, which meant this.
Bird. Got a lot. Can I have your
Oh, I should have brought that to the table, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to wait a moment.
By the way, there've been the Santa Ana winds yesterday and today, so there's a little bit allergy, but a lot dry, and it's very uncomfortable.
Dying.
Yeah.
When I hand this to you, I guess we can keep folding. I was trying to stop folding that page so that way it would, but alas, if it works out, if we could just leave that here, they can see everything else on that screen.
One thing I miss about having long hair is being able to put it back in a ponytail. Sometimes you just want to get it out of your face. I know the feeling.
Where that bookmark is where the images begin. The one that I just put in.
The new one.
Like the little calendar page. So there's the older images that I don't know if you'd already done with them, and then if you keep going forward, you'll get to the newer images. And then that's where that little bookmark needs to stay, so it covers up precisely anything.
Yeah. I want to see. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Did we we did log. Did we do nose? Where is it?
Oh my goodness, yeah, Mateus, the number of times I think, of course I'm going to remember
Yeah, we
this
did it.
really cool etymology that I just created. I do not.
We did that.
Alas.
We did cattail. We did all of these, right? I think we did all of those, and there's no more over there. Yeah, we did all of those. So now we're just going blind.
Yeah, from the original ones, we had
Onion.
done all the ones we were going to work with, I think. And we had already assigned them forms and everything.
I think I'm gonna go with onion next. We'll put that in somewhere. We're gonna need a letter form for it, or a syllable for it. Be right back.
And I actually forget, we had chosen onion for a reason. And I feel like someone had mentioned that it is something they snack on. And so I think they actually eat onions. Unless I'm misremembering this. So I think this is, a good onion, not like our rabbits who definitely cannot eat onions. And so we'll get there. Once David comes back, most mammals don't eat onions. Then why did we decide to do an onion for the beavers? That is such a good question I am asking myself. However, it did resuscitate a glyph a sort of shape that I had created that I really liked, but we couldn't use. Or maybe that was just for roots. But anyway, it was one for grass that I really liked it as a little drawing, as a source for a glyph. But we couldn't use it because grass was starting with a diphthong and it didn't have a place.
Maybe that was it. But which way did I get in? I guess I got in this way. It was one of, you kind of have a series of glyphs of the beaver holding something. So the onion is one.
Roots was the other, because it was like holding up like a plant with a bunch of roots attached.
Because, I have an immediate idea for the onion glyph. I'm just going to show this real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see we have the hand here, and then kind of like the things going like this. And we finally did our X shape. I was thinking an X with just a cross in the middle.
Yeah.
That'd be really easy to do. Nice and distinct. Did we fix this one? It does indeed get a little narrower as it goes, right?
Oh goodness, Jake. I was just thinking of garlic cloves. In case any of you didn't know, if you have a lot of garlic, like heads of garlic at home, and you're not going through it fast enough, maybe it's on the edge and it's starting to kind of go bad a little bit, and you want to save as much of the garlic as possible, you can actually just like put garlic cloves, once you have the skin off and everything, in the freezer. They freeze really, really well. I have discovered this because I brought home a lot of garlic when we were in Missouri that my dad had grown. And I did not know you could freeze whole garlic cloves like that. So, but we're also almost out, David.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to have to buy garlic again.
Today?
Either this week or next week. Well, for the first time in like 3 months, we're going to have to actually buy garlic.
That Missouri garlic's so good.
It is. And it, like I said, froze very nicely, and was able to just grab out cloves as needed. We go through a lot of garlic in this house.
Okay, so we need a word for onion in this language. Available, we have ta, di, do, ku, fi, vi, Zoo, Lee, Ni, Nu, Ngoo. Little by little, we're filling in.
I think we should go for moo. And yes, they may have codas.
Yeah.
They could even have a little second syllable if it's like CVCV, like very short.
Yeah.
We've done that with some of these, not all though.
Could have it nasalize. No.
As in, don't eat it. Oh.
No.
Is that what you want to go for?
Why not? And your choice about the voiceless nasal coda.
I feel like it needs to either be the N or M. I like the M because that feels like a nice, like, if you're saying don't eat it in your head, you're closing your mouth at the end and like so hardcore that you're just like spilling what is left of the breath out of your nose.
All right, there we go. Oh, we already did fish.
Oh, you guys had some good forms though. Ninu and Ngubu, Susu. These are very cute forms. And we're going with something else. So thank you though for the wonderful forms that I saw after. They are Ngumhi. Okay, I'm going to get this entered while you work on the glyph stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to add an entry.
I don't know if we're going to have to.
That will be to the ends. Oh wait, I gotta remember how this needs to be. This will be NGU.
41. Nope.
This was specifically like a green onion, right?
Yeah. Like that. So I don't know if that's going to be too... Actually, try to bring this in even a little more. Let's see if that doesn't look too bad.
Oh, and then that is cute. In their partitive form, you get mumu. Mumu. Mu. Mumu.
Darn it.
I feel like in this language, I have the same issue that I have in French, and that is once I start nasalizing vowels, like I just really struggle to not produce them as nasals.
Yeah.
And one word I especially struggle with that is just chat, which means cat, and I just always want to be like chat.
Le chat.
Exactly, chat. And le chien is for the dog. Oh, cancel. Trying to start completely over. Here we go. There we go. Ordering cats to sing.
I think it needs to be a little bit. It needs to be a little bit.
Ooh, wait. Miles says, I felt like I was part of a corporate meeting. We give ideas, boss man got their own. And yes, we are indeed a corporation. There is a CEO.
That's true.
And it is David. Oh, I like Patrick's idea. The stars are the sawdust left over from building the moon.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Man, I'm surprised Patrick came up with that and not Dark Horse.
It was built off Dark Horse. I was talking about, if you remember the moon story.
Oh.
That the beaver built a moon. and I love that whole thing. And so thinking about the moon as being a built construction, like, gosh, I think that was what, like 2 weeks ago you came up with that dark horse. But yeah, that was a beautiful, lovely little tale. And then I like Patrick's build off that. It's very cool. Yeah. Biblaridian is like so in charge that I don't even know if there's an official title, because Biblaridian's above the CEO. It's like as Matei says, the senior executive president. And so, yeah. Miles. I got you. 2 Patrices. Can we handle 2 Patrices? I don't know. That's amazing.
I think the correct way to pronounce that is patrices.
Oh, patrices, like
yeah.
appendices.
Or actually patrices. So, yeah. Matrices.
We could call Biblaridian the Grand Vizier. I like that. Nice.
All right.
Jake approves of the patrices.
Yeah. That is definitely good enough, and I think that's the best one can say about it.
Whoa, what'd you do? Did you create it? And I was just like asleep over here?
Yeah, and it's good enough. It's good enough. We're gonna move on. I'm trying to remember. I have because we have some words in here, but I don't see images for them. Not all of them anyway.
What words are they? I can tell you.
Oak.
There was on the original. There
Oh,
were
I
some
see.
images.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jake. I need that rest, so I will take that encouragement. You know what else I will take, David? We have created a word. You've created a glyph.
And together we've created an opportunity for advertisement. For our official, unofficial sponsor, Copico. Have you ever heard of Copico, Jess? It's pretty good.
I don't know, David. This looks fancy. It says here it's the real coffee anytime, anywhere candy. That sounds delightful, David.
Yeah, that sounds like a very nice slogan.
Indonesian volcanic coffee beans are the source of this?
Yeah.
Wow! It's like eating a volcano.
Copico, a copicano of flavor in your mouth.
My goodness, that may be your best one yet.
Yeah, that's a very 90s. I can see the commercial now. I am super interested in what you've just said, Jake. Tell us a little bit about this. So, dulce de guayaba from Colombia is what Jake is having. I don't know what that is. But guayaba is, or guayabo actually, is a mango tree. Or guava tree. What am I saying? It's basically guava pulp and sugar wrapped in a little leaf.
David's intrigued.
Yeah. And there was my second trip to India. I visited a city called Tiruchirappalli in the south, Trichy. It's usually called as a shortening. And on the second to last day, we went to a temple where every once a week the people that work there, they put together, they just make food for everybody. And it's pretty good. So it's like a once a week restaurant. And it is free for those in need. But there's suggested prices for those who can afford them. But the thing is, like, unlike, say, for example, like a soup kitchen here where, the average person is not going to go to a soup kitchen in the United States, everybody goes to these because the food is really good. And so we went there, and it was really nice. There were no plates. They had these great big leaves that you would eat on. And there were just a bunch of different things. And there was this rice there that was so delicious. A lot of very intriguing flavors at that meal. Anyway. Magpie, all leaves are edible at least once. Anyway, no, generally you weren't supposed to eat those leaves. I don't think you could. They were tough. They really served very well as plates. There were a reason they used those leaves as plates and not just any old leaves. Like, they were pretty substantial. Okay. By the way, I was wondering about this, but it's just one. I don't know. Anyway, oak. So your oak, your drawing of an oak tree was pretty much just straight. Pretty prototypical tree, I think.
Yeah. It was not exciting at all.
Both your little drawings of a frog are just so adorable. But I kind of... I don't want to do that.
Do what, David? Share with the group what you're taking out of the running.
I was thinking of this really cool character I did for Bodsboken, which was the Orcish language for bright. And your drawing of an oak you could do something similar with that, but I just don't think it fits this style. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And the problem is, oak is ah, and log is ooh. And the other thing I was thinking of was just doing a great big rectangle, but then it would look almost exactly like ooh. And it's in the same row, so that's a little weird. It's also put like a line in the middle from the thing is like I just don't know. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to leave that one aside. We're going to do something else. What does mint look like? Oh, geez, that's what mint looks like. That's pretty complicated.
Wow, Juno, I misparsed your comment at first, but I also... Children swallow batteries all the time.
Mint is down here. Yeah, they swallow 8 batteries a year while they sleep.
And yet we do not consider them edible. I thought them was referring to the children. And I was like, why would we use that as a marker of edibility?
Most things that swallow batteries are edible. Like,
goodness.
Like Game Boys. So.
Wow. No, you have to be hospitalized if you swallow a battery, so don't do it.
Yeah. Well, Lord, that's the last thing we need on this stream.
Goodness gracious.
I had people to swallow batteries.
I had never heard of such a problem happening, and now I am incredibly concerned about all the children this is affecting. I hope, if that refers to you, that you are okay. Wow. What are you thinking, David?
Seeing a lot of questionable decisions here. Thinking I'm not going to do mint right now. I'm just not feeling it.
Okay. I think we should go with what you're feeling.
Yeah, I need to be feeling something. Looks like we got the same... Mud is a little amorphous, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Some of them I wasn't happy with, which is, why I kept drawing more images. So it's not like just because it's an image there, it needs to be used.
Yeah. No, I think leaf is, there's potential there with leaf. The question is, leaf is clearly going to, based on the drawing, it's clearly going to come up with a shape that is something like, what is that, Z and C? Wow, those are very similar sounds and glyphs. Oh, maybe not that similar.
I mean...
Anyway, it's going to look something like that.
For our, English orthography, S and Z are really just backward counterparts of each other.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of weird that one of them is straight and one of them is rounded.
It is. Yeah. And alas, here we have it.
I want to say that there's some sort of handwriting theory about it, that it's like, well, if you're going from left to right and you start here, it's easier to do straights this way and curves the other way. I'd only believe it if Barry Garcia told me. I think, I think that we can actually distinguish leaf from this one quite simply by just adding a descending line there. I think that'll work. So leaf is going to be, the word for leaf we have, I assume it's already entered, if it's over here, is protoform of gabu. Probably sounds the same in the modern language.
Yeah, gabu.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with Z, go over to GA. Where is GA? There it is. And we're just going to add a happy little line down there. And there's that happy little line.
Our comment section is delightfully analyzing orientations of S, Z, 2, 5.
What on earth?
Which is
I see. I thought it said -3. It said -300, which is what it was supposed to be saying. Thank goodness. All right. And ta-da. So now there is a slight difference between ga and Is that really how far the descender goes down? No! Wait. No, yeah, it only goes down to -300. Is that really the only time that we have a descender going below a straight line?
Oh, wow. Is this our first?
Yeah, and look at what a little shrimp it is.
Oh my God, that's adorable. But it needs to be a little shrimp. It really differentiates it from the middle one.
I guess, yeah. Huh. Does our ascender only go up 300? I think it does.
I feel like it does, because when you put it in line, it doesn't super go up.
300. They are little shrimpy guys.
Ooh, that little...
You know what? We'll leave it for right now. I'm working on another project where I'm having the opposite problem. So, you know what? We'll stick with it.
Ascenders and descenders are a little, woo!
Yeah.
That's amazing.
There were several jokes I could have made with Mateus in mind at that point throughout this discussion of those things, and I did not. I just wanted to make a note of it.
Kopiko? Yes? Okay. David deserves a second Kopiko for not making the jokes and for being a
Thank
lovely
you.
person in general. I'm going to be buzzing with sugar after this because this is...
Go, Pico. One for each co.
Last night I ate candy for the first time in a while, like Halloween candy. And
By the
I
way.
got a little jittery.
Oh, that's right. What did you have?
I had a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup followed by that sucker, the Tootsie Pop. And the sucker was, it just put me over the top sugar-wise.
It's
and
an
I was
odd,
like...
It's an odd thing, too. I'll just say it is an odd thing.
What?
Nothing.
The Tootsie Pop?
Mm-mm. No, that the Tootsie Pop put anybody over any type of edge.
The whole sucker is just like hardened sugar. That's all it is.
Kind of.
Anyway.
It's the type of thing where a child in the 1910s might say, golly, that's a lot of sugar. But, you know, there have been a few decades since then.
I'm Jessie from the 1910s.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you this just real quick because I think this is really easy. This is home. It's just a dam from the front. That is going to be super easy. I'm going to check it off the list right now. It's just going to be an upside down one of these. And home is E. Oh.
I think Jake made a joke for you.
Oh, God. And that's, you're going to see what I'm, oh, God.
Oh, what are you doing?
Well, I don't think this is going to work. This is E and this is OO.
Yeah.
This is like something out of Dr. Seuss. So that's going to need to change. And I think log is going to be the one that has to change.
What if one gets an ascender, like, you know, I mean, well, you know how H has the ascender versus N, which doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same shape. It's just one has a line that goes up higher than the other. So what if for the log, it just kind of like came down a little bit, so there was a clear ascender? And then home doesn't.
Okay. I mean,
and that would have been not based on the original glyph shape, but based on writing over the years where it needed to be differentiated. And so that, you know, hump just would have been lowered to make it clearly taller.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Jake had some really good jokes in here. I want to point out one. It's always great to have queer typography jokes. So Jake says he is straight and S is gay. 2 is bisexual. Well done. That's a good one.
Z is straight, S is gay, but then did you miss the follow-up of the 5 from Miles?
5 is bad. All right. Okay. And now we're going to give it its little tooth. Little tooth was just a tap. All right.
I will also, after today's stream, at some point, so that includes tomorrow too, I just want to say that I'm including tomorrow as after today's stream. I will replace the things you asked me to do with the conlingerie font.
Oh, thanks.
Or keyboard, not font, keyboard. Because that note was in there, and I now have ideas for how to get some of those diacritics.
Good.
And I now am getting some more mental space to work on things, so yay.
For those who are confused, the keyboard layout I created to include IPA characters and things like that, what I called conlingerie. I did this before the conlingerie podcast existed. So I came up with the name first.
Listen, independently also came up with it.
Yeah.
The podcast existed, but I didn't know about it yet. Because it took me a long time to realize there was an online community. But there was a thing where I was teaching a technical writing class, and I was trying to show like how to do a resume or whatnot, and how to do letterhead and make your own. And so I made up a business for me to work for, and I called it 437 Conlangery.
Oh.
And that was my little business that I made up. And then much later, I discovered the podcast. And I was like, oh, it's a thing. And then you had the keyboard layout. And so, yeah. Oh, and George got it from a forum.
Yeah. And I want to be sure I go ahead and answer Sister Language's question. On the stream, Sister Language asked, what did I use to create the keyboard layout that I use? And again, remember that I use a Mac pretty exclusively and have since the 90s. We have a program called Ukulele, and it's really, really handy.
I will say it's not super intuitive when you approach it for the first time.
Oh.
Because you do one stroke wrong and you have killed the entire keyboard. And I have discovered that by killing entire keyboards that I have designed because I had something wrong in something I did, and it applied it everywhere. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not like super intuitive. Like when you open it, you're not going to be like, oh, this is what I do. Once you figure it out, it is super helpful.
Oh.
On lingerie.
That does sound like a kind of joke I would make, but even that's a bit of a stretch for me, I think. But Jake also asked a question, and so I might as well raise it now. I mentioned this on the Discord, but I might as well mention it on the stream and mention it to you, Jessie. I have been considering, or rather reconsidering, the decision that we made for the romanization of Sovála.
Oh yeah, you're thinking about adding a diacritic.
Just the sequences of like SYTY.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who said that was problematic when we did it?
I know. The problem is like, the average person isn't going to necessarily interpret a diacritic the correct way or in any kind of a way. But it's one thing if your syllable structure is CV, CV,
Mm-hmm.
It's those consonant clusters. Mm-hmm. We were talking about...
And also any English speaker is going to see SYTY and go CT or SYTY.
Yeah. It was... somehow Poland came up in the Discord, and I mentioned my favorite Polish singer, Basia. And I think it was Jake put her last name, which just looks like... I mean, it looks visually just like, oh my god. But then if you see the IPA, it's like... Oh, it's Chichalevska.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's easy, but it's spelled like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I look at Sovála and think...
My basic rule, by the way, is if it requires more than a digraph, you need to reconsider your decisions in life. And if you have two digraphs occurring side by side multiple times over and over again, you need to consider if that's the best option.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to make an explicit mention. Ukulele is much easier if you're just mapping keyboard strokes to a certain thing.
Oh.
It's when you're doing the dead key commands that it can get a little bit tricky, where you may accidentally code things in wrong. And it was the dead key commands that I messed up when I was doing ukulele. So I do want to point that out, because if you're just like creating it so it will map differently, that's actually pretty easy. It's the dead key.
I also want to mention something very, very important. It's misspelled. And I don't know if it's misspelled on purpose, but The program is Ukelele. Ukulele. It's like they saw the English shortening of ukulele, uke, which is spelled UKE, and thought, oh, you just add the LELE on the end. I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if they thought it was like, oh, it's like key, but if it was like that, why didn't they throw the Y in there too? I don't know. Anyway, but like if you go searching for it online, you'll probably find it, but it's easier to find it if you put in the misspelled name. All right.
And its little picture is a little ukulele.
Oh yeah, it's very nice.
That is a surname. I have not seen that yet on Discord, or I skipped over it, I guess, maybe.
So,
wow.
I just had a terrible idea.
Oh, terrible idea.
Yeah, I had a terrible idea.
I'm ready, David.
I hate this idea, but I think it makes sense based on the images. It makes sense based on the images. I cannot believe this. This is my terrible idea. That is A-E-U.
I'm waiting for it to get bigger. There we go. Accidental?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I hate it, but like it makes sense. The left one is the oak tree, which you put a lot of detail and a hole in the center of the oak tree. There are branches that go up top, but it's like that could just be reduced to a line. Mm-hmm. The second one is the beaver home.
Yeah,
which that just looks like that.
Yeah.
And then you gave us the explanation for why there is the extended line for the log, which was originally taller, but it's like it looks very similar. And so this actually makes a lot of sense. And not only that, that could be the birth of a system where it's just like, well, you just do that to create some of these other characters.
Right, yeah. Where they just assumed later on that it's like, this indicates a vowel, and here are little things you do to it.
I hate it. I hate it, but I might use it.
No, that's...
I might use it for places where it makes sense, where it could actually work like that.
In Dark Horse, I will specifically say next season, when we get to our next full season, it will be a Fox language. That is our next one. So that's already decided. That will be season 7 when we get to it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if Dark Horse was watching when I showed the Myth, M-I-T-H characters from Flight Rising, but it is something that has made me crave moth characters. But it's the type of thing, man, there are so many potential little animals, and creating the language, you know how long about it takes us to create one of these languages. It's like this could just be going for years.
But I do want to say, first of all, David, what are we here for except to be doing this for years?
True.
But second of all, with things like the moths, and that would open us to the world of insect languages.
Yeah.
And for some of the insects that would be, say, friendlier with the animal kingdoms, I could envision them developing later as species that have the anthropomorphic qualities, which means they potentially would have gained language consciousness and awareness in a system that already has a functioning language, thereby creating more a posteriori potentialities.
That's a really good point.
Where it's like, let's say the moths are,
really
close to the rabbits or close to the mice or whatever, and it's like that's their starting point because they gained consciousness hearing this language.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, because that's actually a really, really good point, because everything that we're creating, we are creating supposing that it had the same origin point. But it's definitely a later origin point. And not only that, it's quite specific. So based on kind of like the lore of this game, the animals, like first, at some point in time, humanity was wiped out. At some point in time later, this stuff, whatever it was, seeped out of like human factories or some sort of lab or something, got into the water system, and is what mutated these animals around the northern Toronto area. Then the animals kind of, form their own little groups. They start fighting. Their bodies start changing. They come to some sort of an understanding because and then they kind of live in relative peace, but separately. The stuff reemerges unexpectedly at one point, and the question arises what to do with it. And specifically, it's in the rabbits area, and the rabbits, of course, want to just basically ignore it and leave it alone. But the other animals don't feel that way. And the mice, in particular, not all of them, but a good group of them, feel like this needs to be studied, and let's see what else we can do with it. And so it's at the end of this this solo/co-op version of the game, which again haven't developed yet, but it's kind of like a Gloomhaven role-playing type thing, but shorter. At the end of it, the rabbit who is like the lead scientist, who is the 5-star tank character. The result is that essentially he's going to create this supercharged version of it, and it's going to get out and it's going to go to the insects. Like insects are going to take it up and they're going to react to it in very different ways. And because it's supercharged, it's not going to, or he's doing whatever he's done to it, it's not going to work the same way. But the idea I think that we have here, and that Jessie's suggesting, which I think is a good one, it's going to affect some of them by making them larger. It's going to make them all larger, but some of them are going to become larger and aggressive. Others are going to become larger but simply docile. I was thinking I was thinking butterflies. I was thinking of huge butterflies, and they could use them as transportation. But others, they could just become, relatively the same size as the other animals and develop the facility for language and other things. And so, yeah, we could have our moth characters. But the point is, in the chronology of the game itself, it is precisely what Jessie is saying. Because like everything we're creating now is stuff that happened ages ago, and this would be stuff that was happening new. And so we would get to completely a posteriori languages and extensions of existing writing systems, which was the thing that Magpie was really excited about.
Yeah,
brilliant idea.
To be there in its own system. Yeah.
Brilliant idea. And the thing is, like, when I say that though, like I love the moth characters, but how could you not make butterflies the same? Like,
yeah.
Why would it affect moths and butterflies differently? Biblaridian, help me out. Oh God! Of course, just slayed me.
What?
Oh
my
God!
I didn't see it. My chat was a little slower than yours. That's amazing.
Dark Horse said Esperant. Oh, Esperant.
A butterfly plane or a butterfly. Okay. Did I draw a butterfly plane? I have drawn it. A paper airplane with a mouse piloting it.
You gave me the idea for the butterfly plane, Jess.
Well, that was just a giant butterfly.
It was just a giant butterfly, but the thing is, I looked at it and I was like, holy crap,
Watch out for the little
Yeah,
thingy.
Sorry. Here, I'll show everybody that real quick.
But, yeah.
That was what gave me the idea, because it was so big, but also the wings are like so flat. It reminded me of the butterflies from Alice in Wonderland, the Disney version, that have the bread. Yeah. But I was like looking at this thinking like, that is basically a flying bus. That's what I thought. So.
Well, and it's interesting because I don't know biologically, moths versus butterflies, if we should consider them separately. Obviously, from a human eye standpoint, it's like I get very confused sometimes where I see a moth that I actually think is a butterfly till I get a closer look, and vice versa. But I will say some of the moths, some of the varieties have much fatter bodies, like much wider bodies, which would be good for sitting on, like better than, because some of the butterflies are actually quite thin with their wings that get much bigger. But you can see some of the moths, especially the like kind of brownish ones that come out at night when you have a fire lit, they have a really substantial body that, you could put a saddle on it. I mean, that would be like a dragon rider in High Valyria, because it would be a saddled kind of situation.
Oh, by the way, Dark Horse has said something that I would love to get a peer review on. Is it true that moths evolved earlier? Butterflies are newer, actually. Is that true?
That's a good question.
I don't have any way of verifying that information myself. Okay. So the funny thing is, now that we've come up with this idea, I'm looking at it, and there might be like precisely 0 places where we can use it.
Oh, for like having an a, e, u, the little marks actually be expanded. If we were going to be marking old diphthongs differently or something, I don't know. Like, I feel like that could potentially be an area, but yeah, the way the writing system was going to work.
I mean, it's just
I don't
coincidentally.
know how easily you would do that.
It's just coincidentally. For example, if you look at this glyph for ma, it's like, oh, that's got a hole in the middle and it's got a thing up top that it could be used. However, the hole in the middle for that diacritic is for ah, and this thing is already ah. And to put it on top, well, we already have that character.
Right.
So that's what I mean. So I'm trying to find a place here. Here's one. Oh, here's one. So we have la, and so we could put a thing on top to get lu, but already done. And not only that, the character already existed.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I like the idea. No, that one wouldn't work. And in this one, there's not a hole in the middle. Those are all done. This has got to work for like one of them. Not that one.
Okay, so...
Not that one.
Butterflies appear to be a subset of moths, so that's good for us. Dark Horse says butterflies are only like 40 million years old and moths are like 190 million years old, according to Wikipedia. And then Patrick had said that it's the superfamily Papilionoidea.
Papillon. Oh. No,
that means butterfly, and it has everything. Well, I mean, that's the scientific.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. No, I was thinking of something else.
And so, you know, they are a part of the same branch, and I think that really helps some of the ways that the insects could morph. You could actually get sort of an overlap with, you know, whether they continue with more moth-like qualities or more butterfly-like qualities that we currently distinguish.
All right, I need to go through this systematically. That's the only way this is going to work. Let's start with P.
Does it work? Oh my God,
I got one. We got one.
You got a sneeze.
We got one.
That is David's pre-sneeze body gesture as well.
It is?
It's like you gear up because you're ready to do the sneeze dab. So you like do this and then you know.
Also called the snab.
The snab.
Okay, we've got one. So that's cool. Poo, P-U.
And then does that mean we're not going to create something for it?
No, don't need to. And so I'm actually just gotta put something else in here. Let's see. We'll put paw and then a little tooth over it. All right, and so that's all done. And that's good because I had made a mistake on the table there because I accidentally wrote the one for ooh in there. Okay, so that's one done.
That is your one mistake that you are allowed this season.
Dang. All right.
It's a good thing you waited to make it now.
Let's jump to B. We've already discussed that B won't work. Okay.
I looked so serious when I did that. I was way too close to the camera. I should be careful leaning on the table.
We got T. T will not work.
Okay.
Yep. D. D will not work. K. K is tough.
Do we have ka and key?
We have key.
Okay.
The thing is, this character is actually shortened because of the diacritic, or its width is reduced.
Oh, and so getting anything inside.
Yeah. So it's possible, but at present not advisable. So let's leave that.
Okay.
G is done. So that's already finished. Phi is spells, is it P-H-I?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know. Because we do need to distinguish.
There it is. Phi, Fu, Fa. Oh my God.
We got another one?
We got another one. We got another one. We did have a word that we were going to do for it, but we're going to take it away. Because now we're going to take care of Fu.
What was the food word?
Bird.
It's saying goodbye to its glyph.
Jessie, don't make me love it. We can use that bird image for something else. All right, there we go.
My God, that could totally be a bird. Look at it from the top, the little head and the wings on the side. It's like from the top, like the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a bird.
All right.
Done and done.
This one is the, and I don't know, maybe it depends on what V is. We might be able to do va, but we certainly can't do anything with this over here.
Okay.
The X. S, we have two of them available. Fennel and Sundog.
Well, oh my gosh, if we did a little marquee up top with fennel, wait.
No, it won't work.
It was the X. I was looking at the X.
Yeah.
That would end up looking like an Ingala character, because isn't there the X with the little...
Yeah, and I don't think that will work as well.
Yeah.
Also, SA is actually beaver, so we probably don't want to do that one.
No.
Z, no, that's not going to work. At least this one isn't. We have bark over here and nothing for zoo yet. Hla is done.
That's the one we just did, yeah?
Yeah. L.
Oh, wait. Do we have Hla and Hlu? Do we already have Hlu?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. When I said that, I meant the entire row is done.
Gotcha, because I was going to say that oak tree shape totally lends itself to a little thing. Okay,
No, I know.
but never mind.
Now we need regular L. We need Lee. So where's regular L?
I'm looking at your tiny screen like I'm going to be able to help.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing that you can... There's no middle dot that you can delete from La, so...
Okay.
M is done. N... No. Not unless you put the notch above it. Or it would depend on Ni. Engma...
Oh, I know we just did. Yeah.
We did. We did?
Wasn't that the one that you weren't happy with?
Yes.
And then I made you eat a Kopiko?
Yeah. No, that's not going to work. And then that just leaves this, and those are done. All right, so it'll be a nice little mini system. It's all taken care of. We might be able to go back and look at K and redo the stick one. I don't know, because
there could be some interesting things where
width there is 1,000, but the width here is 800. That's the difference.
The system developed one way, and then through use, the systems change in ways that no longer have anything to do with connections to their older forms. And so it could be interesting for some of the glyphs that are more difficult to make, or just, a little more unwieldy in the system. They could end up becoming easier forms that participate in this little mini system.
Well, I think I do have an idea. This might end up being a poll.
Okay.
I'm going to sketch these things out. All this would do is really just give us ka, but
The ka is important.
yeah. I'm gonna, I think that's it. Because that's 1,000, right? Yeah. All right. Put this up here. Let's start with this one. And now with this, we need this to go like that. And then this to go like that.
That is very cute, Jake. I'm now imagining these little beaver cheerleaders.
All right. And let me get the poll images ready. What's the other one we need? Is it K-I?
I think it was,
Yeah.
yeah, key.
Yeah. And let me, I'm going to take this one out of there and put it there. All right. So we got that. Can we please get the whole thing?
I see the 3 in question, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Was it not letting you highlight it all?
Yeah.
Weird.
Now we need to replace them. So we need
A cheer beaver.
okay, Greenlandic for this. Elocute and elocute. All right. If we increase the size of those reduced characters, the character size were reduced because of the diacritic. And just, and you know, this one is online with it. Just because they don't really need to be as big. Well, maybe we need to consider a third option. Right. Just the one character reduced in size. This is a very minor thing, but anyway. All right, so we'll do that and then deal with everything else. Or just do something new here. Like the beaver, yeah?
Yeah, we should do the beaver glyph. That feels very important. That'll be Sa, right?
Yeah.
So it's Sa, lady.
That's the head. And then the beaver is...
The full standing beaver, yeah.
Yeah. Just... right here.
Waiting for it to catch up, make sure the point was on screen. Yes, I see it. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this little guy...
I'm really interested in seeing which lines you end up prioritizing here.
Yeah, I have a thought. Kind of a goofy character.
Dark Horse actually has kind of an interesting. Just thinking about like the head, the arms, and the legs is horizontal. Then we could have a long bottom for the tail on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, look at that little beaver picture that Dark Horse put in the chat. Is that just the regular beaver emoji for YouTube? That is adorable.
That's beaver emoji on our phone.
That's what it looks like?
Yeah.
Are you looking on the screen?
Yeah. Isn't that the same emoji we get when you go to do a beaver emoji?
No. You know what?
I will have to wait until we're not
You're
on
gonna
stream.
you're gonna have to walk over here and look at it, I think. And I do recommend that you do.
Well, just a second. Oh my goodness. Making me get up.
Look at that.
Oh, that is very different from what I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that cute?
That is cute. It's much better than the computer variant that shows up on Discord of the otter.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a rocket otter.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about rocket otter.
Like, the otter is so adorable on, like, the phone emoji system. And then you go to do it on a computer system that's different, like Discord, and it shows up looking like a rocket.
So that's a possibility. But another...
There we go. See, there's a couple.
Yeah.
Just something like that. Could be a starting point for your brainstorming.
I got, I did one mock-up of that, and it doesn't look great, I'm going to be honest.
My goodness. Okay, so I now can see both chat screens through my phone and the computer. The differences are insane. Beaver, very different. Otter, I see Patrick has not the rocket otter variation, but definitely not the cute otter variation on the computer. It looks like a U. And then Patrick, what is this other glyph that is maybe a jellyfish that is either incredibly bright orange and pink or blue? Like, they are so different. Do you see Patrick's, the bottom one?
It's a jellyfish.
Okay, look at it on the phone. Blue.
Huh.
Looks like a little blue orb. Bless you. Did you see? Sneeze stab. It is a very interesting one. But like on the phone, it is just like a blue orb with tentacles.
Oh my god, Patrick's description is perfect. The jellyfish looks like a man with a pumpkin head and sitting down.
I mean, what is a
With his back to
jellyfish
you.
but a pumpkin head man? Forgot to hit the mute button when you sneezed.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Gosh, David.
I'm so sorry. That's on me. The mute button is facing me. Another idea.
And this is all. Oh wait, no, this is for the. I momentarily thought we were still working on poll options, and then remembered that we had a whole discussion of beavers, and this is why the emojis were popping up on screen that differ depending on whether you're looking on a phone or a computer.
Okay, that's not right. Hold on a sec.
I just saw what you're doing.
Oh, do you like that?
Oh, well, I mean, one, it's got a fantastic tail, like a little squirrel. The squirrels are going to borrow that character and claim it's theirs.
It kind of looks like a squirrel. That was the thing. I'm gonna finish it out because
We need a word for squirrel. Should we create one and make that the glyph?
certainly could.
Because look at that. Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I just verified no word for squirrel yet.
Let's see. That's 200. Oh right, we gotta.
And also, Patrick, to be fair, David's actually allergic to a lot of things. So.
Oh. Right, now we need the top. Sorry.
You were almost so excited.
Where's the top?
Juno's dad calls squirrels suburban tree chickens. Now, I have heard a lot of people call squirrels tree rats. So that is a thing people say. Never have I heard them called suburban tree chickens. That is new.
All right.
I'm excited to find out what you've decided in that little exploration.
Yeah, so like this one for beaver, that is out. That's not going to work. I think the E is going to work because I think we're going to rescue that squirrel glyph for squirrel. So I'm going to put...
That was me being excited.
I'm going to put that for saw, and so that's done. And then... So you've verified we don't yet have a word for squirrel,
I have
right?
verified that.
Okay.
Squirrel is not used in this document.
Okay.
Couldn't possibly what?
Oh my goodness. If we make squirrel start with D, D-I.
Okay.
Or N-I, we can have an additional glyph that I'm going to show you.
Patrick is suggesting D's. Of course, for D's nuts. Oh my goodness. That's a finished squirrel right there. I love it.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I think I recommend NI.
Okay.
And the, it could just be, neat for the sound that squirrels make.
They do indeed make that noise.
Yeah. So it could be just neat, and then I want to see with Lexergy. Yeah, the modern word will come out as neat, or neat, but with a geminate N.
Welcome, Hunda, and glad that you stopped in time to see the amazing squirrel. I am so happy. All right, so I'm going to add another N. We're getting NIT plus, of course, NIT. It's going to reduplicate for its final form.
Yeah.
And it's going to come out as neat with a geminate.
Yeah. And that gives us...
David.
Yeah.
Nothing happens to the T intervocalically, right? So like the partitive would just be ninitu with the final stress.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I just wanted to double check. I don't know why I was suddenly questioning that, as I think I clearly see examples where nothing happens to a T intervocalically rather.
Nice. All right, that gives us 3 more glyphs. I'm so sorry. I still love you. I mean, do you still love me?
I don't know if you all heard that, but that was adorable. I think we all still love you, the same as we did before the sneeze. Don't think any love has dropped. And if it has, then consider your heart if a sneeze could make you stop loving someone as much as you loved them before. That would have to be one evil sneeze. Neat. Oh, that is such a cute word, squirrel. Neat. Neat. Mateus is verifying. We do. Sis a languagist also.
Thank you.
Patrick, however, we may need to boot Patrick altogether. We've already taken away moderator privileges. Is this the time to vote on whether Patrick gets to stay? Just kidding, Patrick. Not only do we need you to stay in our community, but, you know, let's get this Duolingo Friends quest, shall we?
All right.
I am so happy with this little squirrel word. David. I can't even vote. Oh, there's no yeah option. Where's my yeah? Someone does have to make the bad puns. I mean, come on. Especially when Bubba's not able to be here. Like, Bubba's got the pun game down solid as well. And so, you know, if Bubba can't be here, we definitely need Patrick.
I closed it with a dead on 50%.
Oh my God. It will be easier to get to our 2 patrices if we keep Patrick around. So
that's true.
That is an argument in favor.
Okay, and the beaver is holding the rock.
Oh, congratulations, Jake. Miles, here's a stink eye for, you know, making Jake do all the work. Just kidding. Oh, wait, what one were you working on? I'm sorry, David.
Rock.
Oh, that one was another boring one, wasn't it?
Well, the beaver's holding the rock.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Because I wanted to do something more interesting, because I'd already done mud as this weird amorphous shape, and rock in so many of our languages is exactly what you would think of rock. It's a circle.
I'm actually going to hold off on that until we're done with the upcoming poll, so we'll leave that one aside.
Patrick, I forgive you. I actually thought that whenever I saw it, because I was like, it's not like Patrick to not do, like, more than a lesson in a day. And my first thought was, oh, it's today. I was using Duolingo and language games to get my brain happy with something. I do love my language things.
I think I actually got an easy one for frog.
Oh, how are you going to turn that bunga?
It's going to be...
I put a G where there shouldn't be one. Bunga.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be... Oh, Jessie.
What?
Oh my god, this is going to be so unbelievably awful backwards, but...
I'm excited to see how awful you're making things. Not only did I put a G in where there shouldn't have been a G, but I stressed it wrong. Wow, my beaver speak is a real low game right now. Munga?
All right, this is what it's ending up being.
Oh, you just sighed. Be proud of this. Don't...
On the top we have a, e, u. On the bottom we have ba, be, boo.
We got a mismatch.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Question. Where do these come from? Where do Bobby Boo come from?
Okay, so boo is from the frog, and based on your glyph, I was like, this is probably what it would end up being. Now, B is acorn. So the
cap,
the thing
the
on
bottom,
top.
the hanger.
Yep. And A is apple. Or ba is apple, yeah. Uh-huh.
Interesting.
I mean, that's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No system is perfect, especially a mini system within a system that is not actually historically a system.
It's going to be real confusing for little beefers going to school, but that's the way it is going to be. All right, so...
I would like to posit that it must be difficult for all those French children who are in school and finding out, more so than English children, because English spelling is what it is. French.
There's some systematicity to it.
Some. But I would like to point out that really number is being leveled in the French speaking system, not in the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, there's systematicity, but when you have to learn all of the endings for like plural and second person singular and plural that never show up in pronunciation, like that's got to be like a little bit jarring when it's like, whoa.
I mean, they show up just in surprising places, like, l'oiseau versus les oiseaux.
Again, very confusing for a young learner.
It's the first word.
It's very confusing.
All right. We've actually made a ton of progress today.
Yeah.
And we might have some gimmies based on what's happening with the poll. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. I think we'll need to discuss numbers and pronunciation at some point. But I mean, I don't see us doing more than 3 episodes for this season.
Whoa. So that puts us through the end of November.
Yeah, we're going to need to discuss what's going to happen 2 weeks from now.
That's Thanksgiving.
No, 2 weeks from now, we're giving a talk in Santa Barbara.
3 weeks from now is Thanksgiving.
3 weeks from now is Thanksgiving. Yeah, so, you know.
We have some things to discuss with you all.
Yeah.
Once we figure out on our end what can and will potentially happen. Because we do have 2 things coming up that could alter plans. And probably will. Oh my gosh, David. I mean, we can totally stream during family dinner, Thanksgiving, get everyone on the stream.
Could be fun.
Get David's family to come in and say hi. Oh my gosh. That would take a lot of effort on our part to make sure everyone's okay with it. But
and I do want to see if we can, especially if things work out so that we're up there the day before, if we can find a spot to stream from Santa Barbara. That would be cool.
And Cody's got Wi-Fi, yeah?
Yeah. Could do that.
That may not work given the number of roommates.
Oh, yeah.
That's not necessarily the best. But anyway, we'll try to figure something out. That's neither here nor there for the end of this current stream, though. Thank you all for being here. Check out those relay results at the link that Jake is posting, I believe is what Jake just posted for the relay that George just finished running. And then tune in again for Tongues and Runes on Saturday for the discussion. And so be ready for all that fun. David's typing comments.
I had a question. It was that...
and then I'm going to be ready to end the stream.
Oh, there's a reason for that, Jake. This is a little YouTube note for everybody. Apparently you cannot do premieres if it is a live recording. Or maybe you can for like an actual like live stream, but once the live stream is done, you can no longer do a premiere, even if you have live streamed privately. And so just to make things easier on myself, rather than doing a video and uploading it, I just did the same thing that we do with LTS. And so I just recorded my video live, and so it does not allow me to do a premiere. And that's why it's not in there. It'll, don't worry, it's there.
I can verify David made a video.
Waiting on Karis, by the way. Maybe I should tag him.
Once Karis answers the question, then we will...
Because I had this question, it came up.
We will stay grammar.
What do you mean, yes, more or less? That's not an answer. Is it les oiseaux or is it les oiseaux?
Very important.
Things like, it is les oiseaux. Okay, see, I was curious about that. Because, like with English, for example, right, it's N before a vowel and it's A before a consonant. And so if you look at something like umbrella versus ukulele, you might think, well, there's two ways you can go. Are we pretending like there's a vowel there, or are we pretending like there's a consonant? But indeed, it is a ukulele, not an ukulele.
And yet, when you type it, it looks so wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Hope that you all had fun and have a better week.
Yeah.
Shall we say. Especially if you're in this country. We will see you all next Thursday, because next Thursday, no matter what, is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we will see you all then. Until then, stay grammar.
Bye, everybody.